Let me start with something that might surprise you. It's not about being the most beautiful woman in the room. It's not about texting him first. It's not about playing hard to get. The woman he becomes obsessed with, she's the one who makes him feel something he doesn't feel with anyone else. And today I'm going to show you exactly how she does it. Let's go deeper into the first point, because this is where everything begins. When I say she has a life that doesn't revolve around him, I don't mean she's pretending to be busy. I don't mean she's playing games or delaying texts just to create artificial mystery. I mean she genuinely has a world that excites her, and that world existed before he showed up. There is something incredibly powerful about a woman who is already fulfilled. Think about it from his perspective. When he meets her, he doesn't feel like he's stepping into a vacuum. He's stepping into motion. She has plans, she has priorities, she has friends she loves, goals she's chasing, things she's building. And suddenly, being part of her life feels like a privilege, not an assumption. Here's the truth most people don't talk about. When someone feels like they are the center of your universe too quickly, it creates pressure. Pressure doesn't create obsession, it creates escape. If he senses that your happiness depends entirely on his texts, his validation, his schedule, he subconsciously feels responsible for maintaining your emotional stability. And responsibility that early on? It's heavy. People pull away from heavy. But when he sees that you're already happy, already moving forward, something shifts. Now he doesn't feel responsible for your happiness. He feels curious about it. He wants to understand it. He wants to be included in it. That's attractive. And this is where many women get it wrong. They think showing interest means constant availability. They think responsiveness equals commitment. So they cancel plans, rearrange schedules, and subtly communicate, "You're my priority now." But the woman he becomes obsessed with doesn't do that. If she already has dinner with friends, she keeps it. If she has a goal she's working toward, she continues pursuing it. If she needs a night to herself, she takes it. Not to punish him, not to test him, because her life matters. And here's the magic of that. When he has to fit into your life instead of you fitting into his, he leans forward. He begins to invest. He starts planning ahead. He doesn't assume access. He earns it. Scarcity, when it's authentic, creates value. Now let me be clear. This isn't about being unavailable. It's about being intentional. When you're with him, you're present, you're engaged, you're warm, but your entire identity doesn't collapse into the relationship. That independence sends a powerful signal. I want you. I don't need you. And those are two very different energies. Neediness says, without you, I'm incomplete. Desire says, my life is great, and I choose you to be part of it. Which one do you think feels more magnetic? When a man feels chosen rather than needed, it hits differently. It activates something deeper. He doesn't feel like a solution to a problem. He feels like a prize being invited into something meaningful. And here's something else. When you maintain your life, you maintain mystery. If he knows exactly what you're doing every hour of every day, if he has unlimited access to your time and attention, there's no space for imagination. And imagination is fuel for obsession. When you're out living, growing, experiencing things without him sometimes, he wonders, he thinks about you, he pictures what you're doing. That mental space, that's where attachment grows. You don't become unforgettable by hovering. You become unforgettable by having substance. And substance comes from living fully. There's also a confidence shift that happens when you don't over-prioritize him. You don't overanalyze every message. You don't sit by your phone waiting. You don't feel thrown off balance by small inconsistencies because your emotional center isn't tied to one person. That steadiness is intoxicating. When he notices that you're calm, grounded, and still moving forward regardless of his pace, he realizes something important. You are not chasing him. And when he feels that, something primal kicks in. People value what they have to move toward. Now, does this mean you act distant? No. It means you act self-respecting. It means your world is rich enough that you don't cling. And ironically, the less you cling, the more he connects, because he begins to think, if I don't step up, I could lose this. Not in a dramatic way, not in a threatening way, just in a quiet awareness that your life will continue beautifully with or without him. That awareness is powerful. When he sees you laughing with friends, pursuing your goals, handling your responsibilities, glowing in your own lane, he doesn't think she doesn't need me. He thinks, I want to be part of that. That's the shift. You're not withholding yourself. You're living fully. And he's invited, not entitled. And when a man feels like he has to rise to meet a woman's world instead of carrying it, he doesn't back away, he steps up. Because the woman whose life is already full doesn't chase attention. She attracts effort, and that's where obsession begins. Now let's talk about something even more powerful. The way she makes him feel about himself. This is where obsession moves from surface attraction to emotional attachment. A man will forget what you wore. He'll forget the exact words you said, but he will never forget how he felt when he was around you. And the woman he becomes obsessed with understands this on a deep level. She doesn't try to overpower him. She doesn't compete with him. She doesn't try to prove she's more capable, more dominant, or more independent than he is. She already knows her strength. She doesn't need to broadcast it. Instead, she creates space for him to feel capable. When he plans something, she appreciates it. When he makes an effort, she notices it. When he solves a problem or shows up in a meaningful way, she lets him feel that it mattered. Now, this is important. This is not about pretending. It's not about inflating his ego or shrinking yourself. It's about understanding that appreciation is one of the most powerful emotional reinforcements in the world. Think about your own life. When someone genuinely values what you do, when they acknowledge your effort, when they make you feel seen, don't you naturally want to do more for them? He's no different. So many women unintentionally shut this down, not because they're unkind, but because they're used to doing everything themselves. They've learned to survive alone. They've learned to rely on themselves. And that strength is admirable. But if you never let him contribute, he never feels needed in a healthy way. And if he doesn't feel needed, he doesn't feel significant. There's a difference between dependency and significance. Dependency says, I can't function without you. Significance says, your presence makes a difference. The woman he obsesses over allows him to feel that difference. If he opens the door, she smiles and says thank you. If he gives advice, she considers it instead of dismissing it. If he tries to help, she doesn't say, I've got it, I don't need you. She lets him show up. And when he shows up, she rewards it with warmth. That warmth is everything. Because when a man feels respected, capable, and appreciated around a woman, he begins associating those feelings with her presence. Being around her feels empowering. It feels grounding. It feels affirming, and people chase what makes them feel powerful. Now let's address something honestly. Respect doesn't mean silence. It doesn't mean submission. It doesn't mean suppressing your opinions. In fact, the woman who creates obsession is strong in her voice, but she communicates it with emotional intelligence. She disagrees without belittling. She challenges without attacking. She expresses without humiliating. That balance makes him feel safe, not threatened. If every conversation feels like a competition, if every difference of opinion turns into a power struggle, he won't lean in. He'll brace himself. And you cannot build obsession in a defensive environment. But when he feels like he can lead sometimes, contribute sometimes, protect sometimes, without losing you, that's when he feels deeply connected. There's something instinctive in men about wanting to feel useful in the life of a woman they care about. If he fixes something for you and you brush it off, the moment dies. If he goes out of his way to see you and you treat it like the bare minimum, the motivation fades. But if you light up just a little, if you say, I really appreciate that, and you mean it, that tiny moment builds something massive over time. Because now he feels like his effort creates impact, and impact creates investment. The more he invests emotionally, mentally, physically, the more attached he becomes. Not because you manipulated him, but because you made him feel valued in a way that's rare. And here's the deeper layer. When a woman can both stand on her own and allow a man to contribute, it signals security. Insecurity competes, security collaborates. When you don't feel threatened by his strengths, when you're not trying to outshine him, when you're not constantly testing him, he relaxes into his masculinity. And relaxed masculinity is powerful. He doesn't feel judged. He doesn't feel inadequate. He doesn't feel like he has to constantly prove himself to earn basic approval. Instead, he feels like he wants to rise for you. That's the difference. You're not demanding greatness from him every second. You're inspiring it by how you respond to his effort. And when a man feels like a better version of himself around you, he will crave your presence. Because you're not just someone he's attracted to. You're someone who elevates him, and elevation is addictive. So no, obsession doesn't come from control. It comes from connection. It comes from being the woman who says, through her actions, I see you, I value you, and I allow you to matter. And when a man feels that he matters in your world, he will fight to stay in it. Now let's talk about the balance that drives him wild. Warmth without constant availability. This is where so many people misunderstand attraction. They think the way to keep someone interested is to always be there, always respond immediately, always say yes, always accommodate. But constant availability doesn't create desire. It creates predictability. And predictability without depth slowly dulls excitement. The woman he becomes obsessed with is warm. She is kind. She is engaging. When she's with him, she's fully there. She laughs easily. She teases playfully. She makes eye contact. She makes him feel welcome in her presence. But she does not make herself endlessly accessible. There's a subtle power in that. When she gets a message, she doesn't drop everything in her life to respond in 3 seconds. Not because she's playing games, but because she has a life. When he asks to see her last minute and she already has plans, she doesn't cancel them just to prove interest. She says, I'd love to see it. Ooh, I'm busy tonight, but I'm free Thursday. Notice the energy there. It's not rejection. It's not coldness. It's direction. Warmth keeps the connection alive. Boundaries keep the attraction alive. If you are warm but boundaryless, he gets comfortable too quickly. If you are boundaried but cold, he feels shut out. But when you combine the two, that's magnetic. Think about it this way. Anticipation fuels obsession. If he knows he can see you anytime he wants, if access to you is unlimited and effortless, there's no build-up, no tension, no wondering. And wonder is powerful. When he sends a message and you don't reply instantly because you're genuinely busy, he thinks about you. When he suggests meeting and you offer another day, he has to plan. When he doesn't know exactly when he'll see you next, he looks forward to it. That space in between interactions, that's where desire grows. Now, let's be clear. This is not about ignoring him for 12 hours to seem mysterious. That's manipulation, and it backfires. The energy we're talking about is authentic. You're responsive, you're engaged, but you're not glued. You're interested, but you're not anxious. And that emotional steadiness changes everything. When you don't rush to secure his attention, when you're not constantly checking whether he's still interested. You send a powerful message without saying a word. I trust that if you value this, you'll show up. That confidence is rare. And here's something most people won't admit. When someone is always available, it removes the opportunity for effort. Effort is what creates emotional investment. If he doesn't have to work to see you, plan with you, or earn Tim, with you, he doesn't attach as deeply. But when your time is valuable, when your schedule isn't wide open waiting for him, he has to step up. He starts asking earlier. He starts planning better. He starts considering your availability. And the more thought he puts in, the more emotionally involved he becomes. Warmth without availability also protects your energy. If you overextend yourself early on, if you give too much too fast, you risk resentment later. Because eventually you'll feel unbalanced. You'll feel like you're doing more. You'll feel like you're chasing. And that imbalance kills attraction on both sides. But when you pace things, when you allow connection to unfold gradually, when you match his investment instead of exceeding it, you create rhythm. Rhythm creates momentum. He feels the connection building step by step. He feels the reward of earning more of you over time. And that gradual progression makes him value what's forming. Let me give you something practical. When you're together, be fully present. Put your phone down. Listen. Laugh. Touch his arm when you're teasing him. Create those moments of warmth and connection. But when you leave, leave. Go back to your world. Don't immediately text him. Did you have fun? Do you still like me? When will I see you again? Let him sit with the experience. Let him replay it in his mind. Let him be the one to reach out sometimes. That pause, that breathing space is not distance. It's emotional oxygen. People suffocate when there's no oxygen. They obsess when there's space. And here's the deeper truth. The woman who can be warm without clinging is secure. She's not withholding affection or tea of fear. She's not chasing reassurance out of insecurity. She's steady. She gives when it feels right. She pulls back when it's necessary, not dramatically, not theatrically, just naturally. That emotional control is intoxicating because he never feels overwhelmed by you. He feels intrigued by you. And intrigue is the doorway to obsession. When he knows you care, but he also knows he has to continue showing up to keep your attention, he doesn't relax into complacency. He leans forward. He invests. He thinks about you in the spaces between. And those spaces are where attachment takes root. So be warm, be playful, be kind, but never make yourself so available that he forgets he has to earn you, because the woman who balances connection with mystery becomes the one he can't stop thinking about. Now let's go into something that truly separates fleeting attraction from deep obsession, the ability to challenge him emotionally. Most people think attraction is built on agreement, on being easy, on nodding along, laughing at everything he says, never rocking the boat. They think if they just stay agreeable enough, supportive enough, low maintenance enough, he'll stay. But comfort without challenge becomes flat. The woman he becomes obsessed with doesn't just make him feel good, she makes him feel alive. And that requires tension. Not toxic tension, not drama, but emotional stimulation. She doesn't automatically agree with every opinion he has. If he says something she disagrees with, she doesn't attack him, but she also doesn't shrink. She'll smile and say, "I don't see it that way," and then explain her perspective calmly. That moment right there, that's powerful, because now he's engaged. He's not just talking at you. He's interacting with you. He's thinking. He's adjusting. He's leaning in. Challenge creates polarity. And polarity creates chemistry. When you always go along with him, when you never tease him, when you never push back, you become predictable. Safe maybe, but not unforgettable. But when you surprise him with your perspective, when you question him playfully, when you call him out lightly on something he says, it sparks something. You're not combative, you're compelling. There's a huge difference. The energy is playful, not aggressive. Confident, not defensive. For example, if he brags slightly about something instead of rolling your eyes or inflating his ego, you might say with a smile, "Oh, really? I'll believe it when I see it." That's not disrespect. That's intrigue. You're creating micro moments where he feels the need to prove himself, not because you're demanding it, but because you've playfully challenged him. And here's what happens psychologically. When someone feels they have to earn your validation, they value it more. If your approval is automatic, it's cheap. If it's earned, it's addictive. But here's where many people get this wrong. They think challenging means criticizing. It doesn't. Criticism tears down. Challenge builds tension. Criticism says, "You're not good enough." Challenge says, "Show me." And that show me energy is magnetic. It invites him to rise. It invites him to step into his best self. And when he rises for you, he feels stronger, more capable, more driven. Now he associates growth with you. That's where obsession deepens. When being around you, doesn't just feel good, it feels elevating. You also challenge him emotionally by not overreacting. If he pulls back slightly one day, you don't panic. If he's quieter than usual, you don't spiral. You observe. You stay steady. You let him feel the natural consequence of his distance without chasing to close the gap. That restraint is powerful because now he feels the shift. He notices the change in energy and he has to decide, does he lean back in? When you don't chase, you create space for him to pursue. That's emotional challenge. And let's go even deeper. When you hold standards, real standards, you challenge him to meet them. If he cancels last minute repeatedly, you don't laugh it off endlessly. You calmly say, "I value my time. If we make plans, I expect them to be respected, not angry, not dramatic, just clear." That clarity forces him to choose, step up or step out. And the right man, he steps up because you've shown him that access to you isn't automatic. It's earned through consistency. Challenge is attractive because it communicates self-worth. When you don't tolerate less than what you deserve, you're not being difficult, you're being discerning. And discernment creates tension in the best way. He feels that you see through him, that you won't just fall for charm alone, that he has to bring substance. And that pushes him to invest deeper. But here's the secret ingredient. Warmth must remain underneath the challenge. If you challenge without warmth, you feel cold. If you warm without challenge, you feel easy. But when you blend the two, you become unforgettable. You tease him but smile while doing it. You disagree but hold eye contact gently. You hold standards but speak calmly. That balance keeps him guessing, in a good way. He never feels fully settled. He feels stimulated, and stimulation creates attachment. Because now he's not just attracted to how you look, he's hooked on how you make him think, how you make him respond, how you make him rise. You become the woman who doesn't just accept him at surface level. You pull more out of him. And when a man feels like a better, sharper, more alive version of himself around you, he won't want to lose that feeling. He won't want to lose you. Because the woman who challenges him with grace becomes the one he cannot replace. Now let's talk about something that quietly determines whether attraction grows or dies. She rewards investment, not words. This is where obsession either builds momentum or completely collapses. Anyone can talk. Anyone can say, I really like you. Anyone can promise future plans. Anyone can send a sweet message at midnight about how special you are. Words are easy. Investment is effort over time. The woman he becomes obsessed with understands this difference at a core level. She listens to what he says, but she responds